Okay, good afternoon, all students. I can understand your phase and a mental state, but I must say you study for not for your exam, but for your bright future. Okay, so I'm going to talk on the histology, which is very important for practical purpose. Okay, so first we start with the histology. So this is small quiz for you. Can you identify the classes of epithelium? Just I given the pictures A, B, C, D and E. So A is, yes, it is a squamous epithelium. We can mostly see in the alveoli and in endothelium. We have the simple, simple, squamous, simple, columnar epithelium. So same there is the stratified also. Okay. So now this one is B1 is pseudo stratified columnar epithelium. An example are the trachea and the bronchus. So see, this is also a stratified, but it is a squamous. And the example of this is EAM and also the esophagus. But there is a difference between keratinized and non-keratinized. The D1 is the columnar epithelium. We can see this epithelium in the intestine. And the E1 is the cuboidal, which we can see in the thyroid gland. So this epithelium has some basic structures. Okay. So the first one is called as, can you see the first one? That is the tight junction. And this junctions allows the movement of nutrients. The B2 is the microvilli. And these microvilli, they use the brush border. They are the tiny projection from the plasma membrane and they contain the microfilaments. Okay. Now there is a difference between microvilli and cilia. Cilia are the longer as compared to the microvilli, and cilia contain the microtubules. They move the particles. Okay, so they are also a projection from the plasma membrane, and main function of microvilli is absorption. And obviously, the basement membrane gives the support to the epithelium. So next, moving towards the cartilages, we know that there is a three types of cartilage. But what is a cartilage? It is a flexible scleral connective tissue, and it is avascular. That means no blood supply. Also the no nerve supply. So there is a problem with regenerations. Okay, but they are covered with the pericardium. Except there is a fibrocartilage also an articular surface of the cartilages of joint also. So cells of cartilages are called as chondrocytes. Okay, so now these cartilages are three types: fibrocartilage, second is hyaline cartilage, and third one is the elastic cartilage. Now this fibrocartilage, they have the collagen fibers more in bundles, so they are also called as the white cartilages. Okay, the chondrocytes, that is the cell of cartilages, they are in the row. Okay, example is intervertebral disc and the glenoid labrum, glenoid acetabulum labrum. Okay, so it is that one. Moving towards is the hyaline cartilage. This is a basophilic structure. Why this is basophilic? Because they have the homogeneous matrix. Okay, basophilic means more hematoxylin. Okay, more darkly stained. So they have the same refractive index of their fibers. So they are look like the glass appearance. They have the cell nest. What do you mean by the cell nest? Now these are the chondrocytes and they are in a group, 3 to 4 group. This is called as a cell nest and they are present in the trachea, thyroid, cricoid cartilages of the larynx and the costal cartilages. Okay. This one is the perichondrium and this perichondrium has the two layers. So they have the lacunae also and this matrix is the territorial matrix. Moving towards the elastic cartilage. As the name suggests, this has the more elastic fibers in it. So it looks like the yellow one. So it is also called as a yellow cartilage. Okay. So it has the more elastic fibers And the chondrocytes also presents, they are sometimes they are present in the 2 to 3 numbers. And examples are there. Remember the E, elastica E, and example are also the E. So ear pinna, epiglottis, and external acoustic meatus. Now moving towards is a bone. Bone is also a connective tissue, but it is a rigid, and our cartilages is a flexible. So morphologically, they are the two types. One is a compact, another one is a spongy bone. Spongy bone, also called as the cancellous bone, and this spongy bone has the more large spaces as compared to the compact bone. These are the solid bone, and as we can see this picture, this slide is the longitudinal section of the compact bone. There is the three types of the cells present in the bone. They are the osteoclast. Obviously, they engulf the materials. Osteoblast, they forms the new cells, and osteocytes, actually functioning cells. So the compact bone has the specific systems, circumferential system, outer and the inner. Haversian system, also called as the osteon. And this, there is again the interstitial system. This one, the remaining space between this Haversian system, it is filled with this interstitial lamella. This Haversian canal contain the blood vessels, nerves, and the lymphatics. It communicate with the Volkmann's canal. This one is the Volkmann canals. That one is the transverse one. And these lacunas are contained osteocytes, and these projections that are called as the canaliculi. That canaliculi contain the processes of the osteocytes. So we can confuse this compact bone with the teeth, because teeth also it look like the grayish one. Na? So this is the tubules, and this part is the junction between enamel and the dentine teeth that are the hard tissue. So these two slides are the different from the H and E staining, hematoxylin and the eosin staining. So easy to find out. Okay. Next is the moving to muscles. Muscles, they are all that contractile tissues and all these. They are the three types: the skeletal, cardiac, and the smooth muscles. So skeletal muscles, they are also called as the striated muscle because they have the striations. They are the long cylindrical fibers, and their nucleus are the flat, and they are present at the periphery, and multiple nuclei. This is a characteristic of the skeletal muscles. There is the striation due to the A band and the I band. Okay, these are the voluntary muscles. This one is the longitudinal section, and this one is the transverse sections. So in this, we can also see this is a transverse section. There are the multiple nuclei at the periphery. This is a longitudinal section, and we can see the striations here. Moving towards the cardiac muscles, this obviously, the example of skeletal muscle, they are related with the bones. So any voluntary muscle is a skeletal, like biceps, triceps, femoris, etc. Okay, so now this is moving towards the cardiac muscle. These are the short and the branch muscle fibers, and there is a centrally placed nucleus. Okay, can you see this centrally placed nucleus? But here is only one nucleus, as skeletal muscle has the multiple one. Now this darkly stained band is called intercalated disc. This intercalated disc is formed because of the 2 to 3 types of the junctions, and it provides the syncytium so that the heart contract continuously in rhythm. Okay, so these are the involuntary, and these fibers are the branch. We can also see in this slide also, they are the branch, and there is a central nucleus. Moving towards the next is I am going to show you these three pictures in the different one. The first one is the cardiac one. The nucleus is in center. We can also see the intercalated disc here. This second one is a smooth muscle cells. These are the visceral muscles, and they are the long fusiform fibers, and the nucleus is present in center. They are non-striated. There is no T tubules also, and these are the involuntary. They are mainly present in the intestine, in the internal organs. This one is the skeletal muscles. These are the nerve fibers which are innervated to the nucleus. So now moving towards the general features of the arteries and the veins, that is the blood vascular basic structure. They are made up of the three: tunica intima, tunica media, and the tunica adventitia. From inner to the outer, this one is called as the lumen. This green one is tunica intima. It is made up of this endothelium, the simple squamous epithelium. This green one is called as subendothelial connective tissue. Sub means below, and this is the internal elastic lamina which separates the intima from the media. This media contains the smooth muscles and the elastic fibers. And there is the external elastic lamina which separates this media from the adventitia, the fibroelastic connective tissues. Okay, so now we are seeing the one by one. So first is there is the muscular artery and the elastic artery, small arterioles and the veins also. We are focusing on muscular and the elastic artery. So muscular artery, as the name suggests, it contains the more smooth muscles in the tunica media. These are the medium size artery and they are the distributing arteries. That means they distribute the blood. So they have intima is very thin because their subendothelial layer is very thin, or sometimes it may be absent. So it is well defined. There is an internal elastic lamina because the elastic fibers are less as compared to the smooth muscle cells. Tunica media is there is more smooth muscles also, and tunica adventitia as the basic structures. So they control the blood flow, that smooth muscle functions. Examples are the radial artery. Okay. Next is the elastic artery. As we can see in this slide also, these are the wavy structures and they are called as the elastic fibers. They are more in the elastic artery. We cannot even differentiate this internal elastic lamina. And so this intima and media is like the together, but they are the separated. This elastic artery is also called as the conducting artery, and these are the large arteries. They are present in mainly aorta, common carotid artery, जो major arteries होते हैं. So there is more elastic fibers. This is the characteristic. And the vein has the collapsed lumen, and the tunica adventitia is a more thicker in vein as compared to the intima and the media. Moving towards the central nervous system, so there is we are focusing on the ganglia. First, we know what do you mean by ganglia. This is aggregation of the cell bodies of neuron. Important, underline, is outside the central nervous system. That outside word is very, very important. And there are mainly the two ganglia. One is sensory, another one is the motor ganglia. So sensory ganglia example is dorsal root ganglia, and motor ganglia is the sympathetic root ganglia. The pseudo-unipolar neurons, you know that the pseudo-unipolar neuron, that means they have the one process and then it divides into the one. So the nucleus is in center. This one is our sensory one. Okay, this one is the sensory one. Nucleus is in center. Pseudo-unipolar neuron. And as we can see here, the nucleus is at periphery, and this one is the multipolar neuron. This one is our motor ganglia. Okay. Next is they are always present in the groups in sensory, but these are always scattered, and they group are separated by the bundle of nerve fibers. But here is the individual, mostly individual nerve fibers we can see. Okay. This neuron is covered by the satellite cells and they are well defined in the sensory one. But in this, they are the ill defined. Okay, what do you mean by the satellite cells? They envelop the neuron and they are the cuboidal cells. So these only 5 differentiating point between the sensory and the motor ganglia, and you all in them. So this one is the other picture. As you can see here, there is some processes. Okay, so this is a multipolar neuron, and here we cannot see, and the nucleus is in center. So this one is the sensory one, and this one is the motor ganglia, that is the sympathetic ganglia. Now the peripheral nerves, as you know, the muscle has the covering endomysium, perimysium, epimysium. Same is for the neuron also. So this axon is mainly one individual nerve fiber is covered with the endoneurium, and this bundle of the nerve fibers, that is the fascicles. They are covered with the perineurium, that is a blue structure, and these 3 to 4 fascicles, they are covered with the epineurium. Lymphatic system. So it is very student find it very difficult, but actually it is very easy. We know that in lymphatic system B and the T lymphocytes are present, and they are their nucleus is the larger one, so they look the dark one. So first focus on the slide. It is more dark, then think about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system again has the 4 slide we have. Okay, one is the thymus, other one is tonsil, next is lymph node, and then the spleen. Okay, so these are the 4 slides. So they have the only 1 to 2 differentiating points. We know that. Okay, the first one is this. As we can see, here is a medulla, and here is the cortex. So there is the two more than the one cortex and more than the one medulla, and the incomplete septa we can also see. So this must be a thymus. Yes, so this is central lymphoid organ, and it has only efferent, no afferent lymphatic vessels. That one is the MCQ. It has the thin capsule, and it says the interlobular septa, which divide the incomplete thymus into incomplete lobules. So each lobule has one cortex, and this is darkly stained, and in center the one medulla, which is the lightly stained. The characteristic of this thymus, they have the Hassel's corpuscles. So these Hassel's corpuscles, they are nothing but the eosinophilic, that is the acidophilic, lightly stained, pink colored structures. Okay, they are lamellated acidophilic bodies, and surrounded by the flattened reticuloendothelial cells. Moving towards the lymph node. Lymph node is the oval and the bean shaped. It is covered with the capsule. Characteristic is below the capsule there is the space, and that space is called as subcapsular sinus. Sub means below the capsule. I already told in subendothelial cells. Okay. So next is it has the many afferent, but there is only one efferent. And in thymus there is no afferent, but it has the efferent. So it has a capsule, subcapsular sinus or the space. This capsule sends this trabecula, and there is the 3 parts of the lymph node. This one is called the cortex, the below is the paracortex. There is not the actually line of demarcation between them. The lower one is called this in middle, center one is called as a medulla. So this paracortex mainly contain only T lymphocytes, and medulla has the medullary cords, P lymphocytes, plasma cells in the cords. Okay, and medullary sinus which contain the blood. Now this cortex has the nodules, lymphatic nodules. They are primary and the secondary. Primary means there is no germinal center. And the germinal center means what? Lymphoblast. And there is the more cytoplasm they contain in it. Okay. So next moving towards the spleen. So this is again here we can see this is the capsule, and below it one is a subcapsular sinus. These are the trabecula. This is lymphatic nodules. This one is the medulla, and this part is called as the paracortex. So spleen. This one is a very little bit difficult slide for students. So it has the capsule. It again shows this trabecula. This one is the lymphatic nodule, but characteristic if you focus closely, it has the central arteriole. Though the name is central, but this arteriole is present eccentrically. Okay? So this is called as the white pulp, and in center there is the germinal center. Okay. So next is the red pulp. This red pulp means modified lymphoid tissue, and it has the splenic cord of the Billroth. That means the reticular fibers, they contain more, and there is a splenic venous sinuses. They have the stave cells in the sinuses, as we can see here the red pulp. Okay. So now this white pulp is a typical lymphoid tissues. The characteristic of spleen is what? At the blood forming organ in the fetus, but in adult it is a blood destroying. So in this picture, the number one is called as a lymphatic nodule, and this one is called as a central arteriole, but it is present eccentrically. So at this side, there is the important question asked is the circulation in the spleen. There is the two type of the circulation. One is the closed, another one is the open circulation. So in closed circulation is the blood is first in arterial capillaries, then it directly enter into the splenic venous sinuses. They drain into the red pulp vein, then trabecular vein, and then the splenic vein. Mainly this is occur in the contracted spleen. So this is circulation is called as the closed circulation. And in open circulation, what happened? The capillaries drain the blood into the cords of the bilirubin and then to the sinuses. So this is seen in the distended spleen mainly. So this one last our slide is the palatine tonsil. As we see, there is the two characteristic palatine tonsil. First, how we are going to identify this lymphatic system है, so bluish color darkish hematoxylic color वाला दिखना चाहिए. So we focus on these lymphatic nodules. Okay, we confirm that it is lymphatic, then we focus on this border. It has the stratified squamous epithelium. This is a characteristic of the palatine tonsil, and it has the crypt. This epithelium is not present in the thymus, spleen, and even in the lymph node. Sometimes this tonsil can also show the mucus gland. These mucus gland we can see. So, okay, so moving towards the next is our gland. On the site of secretion, you know all that exocrine and endocrine gland. These glands are classified according to the site of secretion, exocrine and endocrine. Exocrine means through the duct. Example is salivary gland, and endocrine into the bloodstream. For example, is a thyroid. A number of the cells, they are again unicellular and the multicellular. Unicellular example is a goblet cell. Multicellular, they are the all. And the mode of the secretion, merocrine, apocrine, holocrine, and the cytocrine. Merocrines means what? The exocytosis secretions, and apocrine, upper apical part of the gland is goes lost as in the secretion. Holocrine gland, whole cell is dead, and cytocrine is the cell itself released as the secretion as in the testis. So according to this, there is a tubular, acinar, and the alveolar. Next, according to the nature of the secretion, they have the serous gland also and the mucus gland also. So serous, S, so it has the small lumen, and mucus has the large lumen. Serous gland, it is darkly stained, basophilic more. Mucus gland is the lightly stained. Why this staining is? Because the serous gland has the zymogen granules at the apex, and at the base they have the basal striations, so it is a more dark. And in mucus gland, mucus droplets are present, and their nucleus is at the periphery and the flat. Okay. So the mucous salivary gland, this one, mainly it is in the sublingual gland, though the sublingual gland is a mixed gland, but predominantly there is the mucus gland we can see. Okay, so as we can see, the nucleus is at the periphery. There is and these are the lightly stained structure because the mucus droplet. There is an intercalated duct also. They drain into striated duct, and then excretory duct. There is the interlobular duct. These are the interlobular. These are the interlobular. These are the intralobular duct. So they have the specific cuboidal epithelium in it. Then this is the duct, intralobular duct. This is serous salivary gland, darkly stained. As we can see, the zymogen granules. There are also the basal striations also. Then example of this serous gland is the parotid gland. And the mixed gland means we have, this is again the serous one. The mixed salivary gland means we have the both mucus acini also and the serous acini also. So, and in mixed one, there is the